RAGBRAI is notorious around the world. People from all 50 states come and do it every single year. People from multiple countries come and do it every single year. If you were to say, what is a bucket list item for every serious cyclist, RAGBRAI is going to be right up there as one of the most important things that you need to go do.
You have to experience RAGBRAI and truly listen to people talk and interact. Because yeah, the pictures look cool and the video looks great, but it looks like every other downtown festival when you walk through a community.
Right.
But what you don't understand is the stories that are being told, the people laughing and crying because of things that have happened on the route. I mean, it is truly a magical event that takes place in Iowa, and what this does for the state of Iowa, what this does for the communities. And I think, this year, based on what we've seen already, when these facts and these figures start coming out, people are going to go, holy crap, like this did a lot for some of these small towns.
And from a business perspective, you talked about business a little bit. So our first store is 1,000 square feet. This store is 30,000 square feet. We have another store that's 12,000 square feet. We have another store that's 10,000 square feet. We have another store that's 8,000 square feet. Okay, that didn't happen. It would not have happened if it wasn't for what RAGBRAI started and what it spawned off as far as children, if you will. So Grandpa RAGBRAI did his job. He's very, he's like a rabbit, He's produced a lot of offspring out there, which is kind of fun to see.
In 2025, Orange City kicked off RAGBRAI with its Day Zero Expo, drawing more than 25,000 people, preparing for the week-long adventure across Iowa.
That there is a local church downtown where we had all the rider meetings and the pre-stage meetings. They sold out of food that night, so I think the intangible there is you just don't know as you talk to riders from all over the country and the world that are going to come back and maybe decide to live in these new condos that are going up, or decide to come back and visit for the festival, or send their kid to Northwestern College, or decide to retire somewhere and they want to move back here. So you can't put a price on that. So having an event like RAGBRAI just for exposure, because even like you said, you didn't necessarily know that this community existed in Northwest Iowa. And
the one thing we heard this year was we want more nonprofits, more local vendors. Not every town has local vendors. As rural Iowa gets smaller and smaller and smaller, it's hard for these smaller restaurants to thrive, and they close up. So when our riders come from 50 states and 20 countries, the first thing that they ask is, where are your locals? They love the church dinners, they love the pie, they love all those things. And when you go back and you recap with them, that's all the stuff that's sold out. All the local stuff sells out because that's what they want first.
As it turns out, Fairbank, Iowa is one of those towns that Matt Vippen is talking about.
Welcome, you guys. Thanks for coming.
Oh my gosh, it's the mayor.
Oh, thanks for coming to town.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Are you having a good time here in town?
Oh, it is fantastic. Look.
Hey, we appreciate. Oh, thank
Oh my
you.
gosh, just come. Oh, I'm.
Oh,
Anyway.
you like the Island Park?
We've had 3 businesses report, and the Catholic Church, which had a large booth behind us because the ride went right by us. They reported their gross and net. We're waiting on a couple more, but we're guessing the gross will actually be pushing $90,000 to $100,000.
And did that, the Catholic Church had an expectation? Did they exceed that expectation?
Yes.
They did.
Yes,
Good.
they ran out of product. At least the pies, of course. Pretty much halfway through it, they expected. As far as the food, which they did locally resourced brats, actually from the locker plant here in town. They ran out, and
they ran out of brats.
They did, and they ran out of pie. Yeah, yeah. And I know the Legion Hall opened up. They kind of overshot on beer and seltzers, but what they didn't was vodka and lemonade. They mixed up, I think they said 50 gallons of lemonade. They had to go on another booze run. The Legion did very, very well. So actually the business right here behind us, they're actually immigrants from Macedonia. So they're in Europe right now visiting family. So we're waiting on their numbers, but just judging from when I walked in there a couple times when I was greeting people on the street, we're expecting them numbers to be phenomenal. There were, it's a good thing we had a lot of fire coverage in town, because I'm sure they exceeded the fire code in there for a good 5 hours. So.
Every summer, RAGBRAI brings a surge of cyclists to the local Iowa bike shops. So just how important is RAGBRAI to the local bike shops?
RAGBRAI helping feed these bike shops, which in turn helps RAGBRAI because more people, more butts on bikes, right? And so I think that gravitational pull of there's always something to look forward to, this thing called RAGBRAI. So a customer walks in for the first time, maybe they just moved to the state and they go in to buy a bike. Well, what are they going to talk about? So you heard this thing called RAGBRAI. They probably are like, I've heard of RAGBRAI. I don't know. I like vaguely aware it has to do with biking across Iowa. That sounds intimidating. But because of that experience in the local bike shop, they get to have conversations. Maybe when they're purchasing their first bike in Iowa, say, well, no, you got to try it. You got to do a day. You got to start doing a day and then you're going to get hooked, you know? So I think it's that gravitational pull where, because of these brick and mortar bike shops that are part of the culture as well, and they do some incredible work just really building the culture, and then that helps feed people who are here in Iowa or coming in from out of state, coming into these local bike shops, seeing just the friendliness of these bike shops is incredible when I visit with them, and just the technical expertise, the customer service is second to none. I mean, I've worked in for-profit, non-profit. I've worked in every industry and every sector, you know, and I think bike shops, second to none, have the best customer service, because it's all about, we talk about building real relationships. It doesn't get more real than your bike shop. The relationship you have with your personal bike shop, people put that above almost any other thing. You know, it's like, I got my best friends, I got my partner in life, and I got my bike shop.
RAGBRAI wouldn't be the same without the incredible bike shop crews strategically placed along the route throughout the week.
On the event, obviously since number 2, I've been on it myself, with the exception of 1 year in the middle. So I've been on 50 of the 52. We've kind of seen how it's changed and morphed. When we first started out, here's how sophisticated it was. We had a little standard van, 4x4 card table, and a chair, and no pop-up tents back in the day. You just, you know, we're out in the rain, or maybe had an umbrella over you fixing bikes all night long. And if you were fortunate, you maybe sold a dozen or 2 dozen seat bags or handlebar bags, or maybe when helmets became popular, a few helmets and lots of inner tubes and repair things. And it was more repair oriented at that point in time. And then it got more sophisticated. So more stores joined in, because it takes a lot of people to service now, you know, maybe 15,000 riders, up to 10,000 or up to 20,000 on some days when they get the day passes. So it takes a lot of people to service all those bicycles and make sure that everyone can go from town A to town B to town C to town D. Kind of the 3 entities. On the ride, we do the charter service, which brings hundreds of people up there by charter bus. We have a service in that where we provide tents and set the tents up, and we have the party tent and the drinks and things like that. And then we have a crew that I go on, which goes from overnight town to overnight town, and we basically set up a store. So we pull up with a large truck and a large trailer. We pull out all the things for sale, set up, I think, 7 10x10 pop-ups, and have mechanics there. And then we have a smaller version of that goes to an assigned spot during the middle of the ride each day. So we have a presence on the ride every day and a presence in the overnight towns every night.
It's amazing. I mean, and it's just nobody else has like kind of taken it to that level. And I was thinking this morning that it's kind of funny that, you know, secret sauce is right out in the open for anybody to steal, and nobody has.
Well, maybe they're just smarter than I am, and they stopped doing it after 2 or 3 years, and I've been doing it for 50 years. I'm not sure.
Every year, RAGBRAI selects only 6 bike shops to be on the route.
So it worked out really well. And then I have to think back, but it was 5 years ago today that RAGBRAI had a bike shop that finally retired and was looking for a new bike shop to take its place.
Because they only have 6 stores in there.
Yeah, they have a limited number.
Okay.
There's a limited number of space for all the bike shops.
Right.
And we do have to make it profitable, that it's worth us being out there to do what we do. There's a lot of preparation ahead of time, pre-ordering parts and accessories and just loading up and getting out there and kind of working your tail off all.
It sounds like RAGBRAI has kind of shaped your career a little bit here in the bike industry. I mean, it's been a big part of it, right?
Oh yeah, it's really to go from just being a little bicycle mechanic helping a club out to now being, I would sit there and say, a pretty big part of RAGBRAI, being an official RAGBRAI bike shop, or part of the circus, as I would say.
Right.
For us, because we're selling a lot more merchandise we would on a normal week, it's monetarily an incentive to do well and to be invited back to RAGBRAI to do the services.
Mm-hmm.
So it's their ball game, their ball, their bat. We have to listen to what they ask of us, and we do with the best of our ability. And I'm out there personally fixing somebody's bike, and whether I'm out in RAGBRAI or here at the store, when someone brings a bike with a problem, I do the very best. I treat it as if it's my own bike. I want it to work as perfect as possible. And so when I'm out in RAGBRAI and I'm fixing bikes and I have somebody comes by and they say, "You fixed my bike, you saved my ride," that makes me feel so good.
Iowa boasts over 100 bike shops throughout the state. And while only 6 shops reap direct impact, the rest of the cycling ecosystem also thrives.
So what's interesting is, the bike business in Iowa is very seasonal, and the season has gotten longer, but it's comprised of these little 2 to 3 week windows. You have the snow thawing, and then we have Easter, Mother's Day, and then school's out, and Father's Day, the Memorial Day's in there. And so when a lot of the rest of the country maybe gets past that July 4th holiday and things may have plateaued or taper, Iowa bike business kind of has a whole nother gear that kicks in, and we get another 2 to 3 weeks of tremendous pressure up to and including that. And then, of course, everybody goes for a week and they break all the stuff, and then they come back and we got to fix it all.
And they want it serviced when they get back.
Yeah, so there's another 3 to 4, maybe 5 weeks of great business for us, and keeping people out and riding and enjoying that latter part of the summer when a lot of folks maybe start tapering off or thinking back to school already.
People think of RAGBRAI, they think of Beekman's, they think of craft beer, they think of Mr. Pork Chop, some of these iconic things that are on route.
Right. On the web.
I think, obviously, they're all staples of RAGBRAI,
right.
And they're all, you have ice cream to pork chop. So they're two different types of things. So they're not competing against each other.
Is Mr. Pork Chop the most iconic business associated with RAGBRAI?
I think so. I mean, based on the years of history, with dad, son, and now son again. You have Sassy, that's Lemonade. I get to be on route every day, and this year physically on route because State Patrol drives me across the state. So I saw Pork Chop every day. I saw Mr. Craft Beer every day. The farm fields are packed. People are hanging out. It's definitely the iconic. Now, you don't hear him screaming pork chop like you did back in the day. I mean, that's kind of gone away a little bit, but you still see the pink and the bus, the smoke coming for miles, and the smell of it when it finally hits you. It's like, oh, this is so good. Being able to get a pork chop every day is a big deal, right? And the business that they have of the pit and the guys working around it. It's already 90 degrees outside, and they're standing around a fire pit. I mean, they're soaked in sweat, covered in smoke. But you know what? Like the riders that come and just stay and hang and tell stories, and it's their bucket list. Like, I have to hit pork chop at least once during this week. But usually, what happens is they hit it the first time, and they hit it the second time, and then maybe the fourth time. And
hard to ride by it.
Yeah, it's hard to ride. It's hard to ride by when you smell the smoke, for sure.
We had a farm outside of 7 miles west of here, but we lived in town because we were Catholic and we were going to the Catholic school, and my dad didn't want to drive back and forth, so we moved into town. And he was very into pork. That's all we raised was hogs. That's how much he was into pork.
Good. How are you guys
and
doing?
Our household I never ate a steak in my house. The only time we had pork or beef in our house was tater tot casserole, chili, or meatloaf. That was it. So, and then he came up with the Iowa chop, which was 1.25 inches thick, and he started following RAGBRAI when it came through here in 1983, I think it was. Yeah, in 83, they came through Bancroft here, and he just set up his grills out there and started selling the chops for $2 a piece. And then the next year, he just started following it.
So it's really cool. So tell me about the corn cob. Who figured out?
That was my father.
Okay, to use corn cob.
Yeah, he was using coals, but then he went to the corn cobs because you can heat them up and cool them down as much as you need. Coals don't do that.
How do you do that?
Water.
I have to ask the question though, do the chops that you guys sell today come from Iowa?
Yeah, they do. We get them out of West Bend, out of Skogan and Lockers.
A lot of folks in Iowa get their first exposure to cycling through RAGBRAI at a very young age. It's not uncommon to meet someone whose life was shaped by their experience on RAGBRAI. Ben Guttenberg from Des Moines is a lifelong bike industry professional. Ben owns one of the largest independent rep agencies in the bike industry today.
But it turned out wasn't quite ready for that, and so we did a day in 1990, and then I rode the whole thing in 1991.
And how old were you in 1991?
I think my birthday's always on RAGBRAI, so I was 8 turning 9 on the first one.
Okay.
And my dad was a pretty crazy, eccentric, sort of smart guy, and he would come up with these kind of crazy ideas. So in that photo, it's all the Latours he could find, in one of the towns. You got a picture of everybody. But then
at a young age, you've had a really great, successful career, and it sounds like RAGBRAI was kind of the launch pad for that whole thing.
It was the matchstick that lit the fuse.
Yeah.
And it's what made me aware of cycling. It's what made me just very in love with the sport. It's what lit the fuse. And then, it was just, quite frankly, probably having the best childhood possible of growing up at Bike World and working in a bike shop. The combination of those two things really were the catalyst for putting me in a direction of working in this industry, and quite frankly, ruining me to do anything else. just not. I would not be good sitting in an office.
What was your first experience with RAGBRAI? What's your first recollection?
When I was 7 months old. So I've been on every single RAGBRAI since I was born. So
no way.
The only one that I missed was when it was canceled in 2020. Other than that, I've been on every single RAGBRAI. Wow. And our kids have been on every RAGBRAI since they've been born too. Yeah.
That's incredible.
And yeah, now I look at it, I've spent roughly 9 months on RAGBRAI in my life.
and now your kids are doing the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, we've got a 10-year-old, 6-year-old, and 2-year-old, and they've been on every RAGBRAI.
Have any of them ridden it yet?
Not yet. No, they enjoy the working side of it.
there's so many clubs and race teams and just people involved in cycling in so many different ways. As a direct result of RAGBRAI, that's got to make you feel pretty good, man.
Yeah, it's cool to see what has come out of this, right? When in 1973, when the two guys that started this went to their boss and said, "We want to do this," the boss could have said no.
For over 50 years, RAGBRAI has remained the world's oldest, largest, and longest multi-day bicycle tour, and no other state has managed to create anything quite like it. RAGBRAI's sustained success over 5 decades is rooted in a simple but powerful element: the people.
I've been on a lot of dealer boards, and we'll fly around the United States to different stores, and you do a Q&A session always. They would say, "Forrest, how do we create RAGBRAI in our state?" And their states are beautiful. Their states have great roads. Their states have a good cycling culture. I said, you have everything except for one ingredient to make that cake work the way you want it to. What is it? Because we'll change it. I go, you need to bring 3 million Iowans to your community or to your state, and then you'll have RAGBRAI, because it is the people. More than anything else, it's the people that they...
I love this message, and his message is very similar to my message, and it truly is the people of Iowa. I've been on multiple calls with bike organizations saying, how do we have the RAGBRAI model come to this community? And the answer to that is I'm sorry, you don't. Because it's the people of Iowa that pull it off.
That RAGBRAI has had a pretty significant effect on the cycling culture in Iowa. I mean, would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's been big. I mean, a lot of people participate in it. I don't think we'd have the road bike sales that we have throughout the years if we didn't have RAGBRAI. And another little sidebar, Shimano sandals. They produce Shimano sandals for RAGBRAI.
As a bicycle dealer in the state, there's no doubt in my mind that we have thrived and grown and been prosperous for decades in a large way for the summer season, because of RAGBRAI and what it brings to the table. There's no doubt.
Do you think that RAGBRAI has had an impact on the bike culture in Iowa?
Oh, 100%. My analogy, and again, when I go to the dealer meetings, they say, "Oh, that RAGBRAI is the best thing in the world for you." And I said, "No, really, it's not." They look at me funny. "What do you mean it's not the best thing in the world?" I go, RAGBRAI is 7 days out of 365 days of the year. I got 51 more weeks that I've got to do business in. Now, what RAGBRAI has done, and my analogy is this: RAGBRAI is the patriarch of cycling in Iowa, but it spawned off this great family of enthusiasts that have gone out and done wonderful things all around our state. If it wasn't for RAGBRAI, we would not have the thousands of miles of trails that exist today. And those trails are accessible 52 weeks out of the year, not 1 week out of the year. So they're very valuable to me. It's spawned off enthusiasts that have created clubs, and they've created teams, and they've created all this enthusiasm for the sport of cycling. And so that it's not that RAGBRAI does it all by itself every day, but it's created a fan club, if you will, that's gone out, and they've really produced a great cycling culture in Iowa. It really is. And so we have cycling culture all around the state of Iowa because of RAGBRAI. So we're grateful for RAGBRAI. I mean, don't get me wrong, we love what RAGBRAI has done. But if you were to say, Forrest, which is more important, RAGBRAI or the culture that it's created? Well, it's the culture that it's created that's really more important, because it's 365 days out of the year, not 7 days out of the year.
So on what makes sense for this ride going forward. If we do that right, more people will come. Our riders are getting older. Our average age is 52 years old. This year we saw younger families and younger individuals riding bikes. That's awesome. 66% of our riders this year were not on route with us last year. So they either didn't ride, or they took the year off, or they're brand new. But the cool number is, out of that 66%, 50% of those riders have never experienced RAGBRAI ever. So it tells me that people are finding our ride. Our ride is 52 years old, so it's not a brand new ride. So, if you've been living under a rock, you're missing it. But I think social media has done a lot for the younger generation. But, I always joke, like, where you been? You find out these 50-year-olds that it's my first time. It's like, where the hell you been the last 50 years? Like, or 40 years or 30 years or whatever that looks like. But I get it. Life happens. It's hard to pull away from jobs. It's hard to take a week off when you're young. I mean,
average age was 56.
52.
52. Is that number going up or going down?
We're seeing it slowly go down, right?
Do you think that those paths would exist without RAGBRAI?
That's a good question. I think that many of them would not. I think some of them may, some of them may not. That's kind of hard to go back retroactively in history, but I think the culture has certainly created a situation where there is a enduring incentive to make more accessible biking and enjoyable biking for everyone. And so I think it has added fuel to the fire in the hearts of Iowans to say, this is something we love and we want more of it. And so I think RAGBRAI year over year adds that fuel to the fire. Yes, we love biking. Yes, we want more of this. Yes, we want more culture. And then it becomes sort of this cyclical thing where it's like, yes, we love RAGBRAI. Yes, we love trails. And so we want more of all of that. We want that every year, RAGBRAI to come back to our town. We want more biking and more trails. We want more bike lanes, So I think that it's cyclical in nature, I would say. So I think a lot of the trails wouldn't exist. If it hadn't been for RAGBRAI, certainly I think we'd have a much smaller number in terms of the sheer volume of those multi-purpose trails, over 2,500 you're saying now.
We'll get people that move here that almost think it's like a cult. They'll go here and go, I think I need to buy a bike because I moved to Des Moines. And I go, that's a great thing. We're not going to force you into it. But when people move here, my aunt's a realtor and she all the time, she gets people who looking for houses, they specifically want to be by a bike trail. So it is a powerful thing.
Yeah. Do you think those bike trails would exist without RAGBRAI?
I think RAGBRAI is a catalyst. I think RAGBRAI could be gasoline, that fuels that, right? Now, RAGBRAI and bike trails are completely different. If you build trails, people come. It's facts, right? Breweries pop up. Towns that weren't thriving are now thriving. Airbnbs are now established. I mean, a lot of things happen when you put something like a trail system in a backyard. We need more trails. We need to be able to have more safer roads in some areas, have more bike lanes, all those things. So for RAGBRAI to be the biggest event in the United States, and it happens in Iowa, I think Iowa still has some work to do to truly make Iowa the mecca of cycling for the world.
Northtown Cycling and Fitness, a beloved fixture of the Iowa cycling community for over a century, was sold shortly after our interview. This sale marks the end of 100 years of ownership by the Morgan Stepanek family. Derek Stepanek, the fourth generation owner, officially handed off the reins on October 1st, 2025.
I'll tell you that it is with gratitude that we stand here, because this business has been very generous for our family and 4 generations. Our livelihood is provided very well. We've worked very hard at it, but it is a fun business, and I'm very blessed to have grown up with my father and my uncle and been able to learn from them and pass that passion along to our customers and patrons, who are healthier because of it.
The park system and the trail system has been one of the greatest assets that communities have embraced, and almost all of our communities now understand the value that it's really not an expense, it's an investment. If you want to invest into your future, if you want to invest as a city, community into young people and give them a reason to stay here in Des Moines, Iowa, I think that cycling and the cycling culture has given them a great reason to stay right here in Des Moines, Iowa, because it's a sexy place to be.
So I think that because of bike tourism and because of that, the attractability now of the state, that's a word, then I'm going to coin it if it's not attractability. I think that makes it just such a great feature of RAGBRAI. I think that it shows continued improvement, sustainability, and that it's going to be here for another 50 years.
On the final day of RAGBRAI, riders arrive in Guttenberg, a small, charming town on the Mississippi River. They end their week-long ride by taking part in the tradition of dipping their front tires in the river.
Other categories, but I think from my perspective, because I love history, I love tradition. I want to do right by the person that either started it or played a role into it. But I think if we all have that same feeling of doing right by the previous person in these roles and making sure that it doesn't go to this corporate run event where it's all about the dollars in the sense that are coming in, but it's about the community and the people and the give back and all those things. This ride will be here for 100 plus years. I always say that the ride only ends when the people of Iowa say it ends.
RAGBRAI will continue to bring thousands of riders together in Iowa every year. The event has helped grow cycling's popularity in Iowa and beyond, ultimately encouraging more people to ride their bikes.